Caitlin Clark was still working her way back from a back injury. The Fever were also without Aaliyah Boston, while Seattle came in with two dominant interior players, Dominique Malina and Awa Pham, ready to battle in the paint all night, along with the explosive guard Flau'jae Johnson. But by the final buzzer, the Fever had done far more than just win the game. They rewrote the record books by breaking 14 different records. An incredible 11 of those belonged to Caitlin Clark alone, including one record that had stood untouched for decades, with some marks dating back to before she was even born. This is the complete story of the night the record book was completely rewritten and how Caitlin Clark silenced every bit of doubt surrounding her. Comment CC record breaker below to show your support for Caitlin Clark.
Point through the shot clock, at the logo. Step back, sidestep, three, left wing, good! Caitlin Clark, a Fever franchise record, 41 points. And the Fever lead by 3 with 38 seconds to go. Timeout, Seattle.
Before the opening tip, all the attention was on the injury report because it had Fever fans genuinely worried. Aaliyah Boston was ruled out with a right lower leg injury, while Caitlin Clark was still recovering from her back injury and had not yet been cleared to play a full workload. That meant Indiana entered the game without its starting center and without a fully healthy version of its franchise player. Suddenly, someone had to step up and solve the problem in the paint against a Seattle team built to exploit exactly that kind of weakness.
See you tomorrow. Woo! Let's go. Dubs in the chat, baby. Come on. Fever dub! NC's career high, period.
Big dubs in the chat. See y'all at the same time tomorrow.
Big dubs!
What made this matchup so intimidating was Seattle's size. They had Dominique Malina at 6'6" and Awa Pham at 6'4", with both players ready to dominate inside from the opening tip. Malina can score with her back to the basket, control the boards, and own the paint, while Pham can step outside and hit three-pointers, forcing Indiana's defense to stretch. Without Aaliyah Boston protecting the paint, that matchup became a major advantage for Seattle. That left second-year player Michaela Timpson making her first career start with almost no warning, stepping into one of the toughest frontcourt matchups in the league with only hours to prepare.
KK, for those who are not teammates of Caitlin, what does it feel like to watch her be sort of this orchestrator of crazy moments?
Just greatness right here, you know what I mean? Man, she does some crazy stuff out there on the court, man. You know, of course, her signature logo threes, the way she can get to her shots and just being able to, you know, set her screens and get her open. You know, we trust her so much here on the Fever, and I mean, she's just a great player overall. You know, she's always, you know, talking to me, making sure, you know, hey, come set me a screen, you know, but I'm willing to do whatever I can for her, you know, on the court, and just a great player overall.
Monique Billings was also asked to take on a much bigger role, stepping in as the veteran who had to keep the team steady while everyone adjusted. The coaching staff was not just worried about scoring. They were focused on rebounding, defensive rotations, and whether the Fever had enough depth if foul trouble became a problem. Seattle also had Flau'jae Johnson on the perimeter, a dynamic guard who could turn a missed shot into 3 points in seconds. Heading into tip-off, the biggest question was whether Indiana could handle Seattle's size and speed without Aaliyah Boston. Early on, the answer looked uncertain as Seattle went on its first big run and grabbed the momentum.
Caitlin, a career-high performance on a minutes restriction. Yeah. I mean, just how comfortable were you out there? You seemed like you were in a flow from the start.
Yeah, I just thought I was aggressive from the start, and, you know, missed a shot, came back, would make the next. I knew my team needed me to step up with AB out, but just proud of this group. I were down 8, I think, with 4 minutes to play, so just some true resiliency, but we got another one tomorrow, so this is great, but let's move on.
Before we get to Caitlin Clark, let's talk about the 3 records her teammates broke on the same night in the same arena. It starts with Kelsey Mitchell, who came out firing from the opening tip. She scored 17 points in the first quarter, setting the Indiana Fever franchise record for the most points ever scored in a single quarter. She knocked down shots from deep, attacked defenders off the dribble, and got to her favorite spots before Seattle's defense had a chance to settle in.
Scoring offenses in the history of the league. Here is Clark, bounces inside for Billings. Cut off there by Pham. Billings into Mitchell, and she gets the friendly bounce.
What a great by Seattle. They'd rather get back and load their defense.
And a heavy dose of Caitlin Clark here so far, and Mitchell finishes at the rim.
45.
Kelsey Mitchell was far from finished. She made at least 3 3-pointers for the 9th straight game, moving into second place in WNBA history for the longest streak of games with 3 or more made threes. The only player ahead of her is teammate Caitlin Clark, who had 10 straight games in 2024. Mitchell also recorded her 14th career 30-point game and extended her streak of scoring in double figures to an incredible 40 consecutive games, proving she delivers night after night regardless of the defense.
Set. Just a bad read.
But Mitchell makes up for it.
So she moves on to the next play as fast as anybody in the league. That's her 3rd triple.
Now, shift the focus to Mikayla Timpson because her story stands out in a different way. She's thrown into her first career start with Aaliyah Boston out and has almost no time to prepare. There's no chance to ease into the moment and no opportunity to work her way up from the bench. Instead, she's handed the responsibility right away and told to battle against a Seattle frontcourt built to overpower teams inside.
Caitlin, for KK's first career start, what is it like to see the progress and growth of her as a teammate, especially against the Storm's big bigs?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough first start. Like, they're really good, they're long, they're athletic, they're fast, they score in transition. And she stepped up to the challenge, but I thought, like, she kind of touched on it. Like, she's put in the work. Like, she's in the gym. She wants to get better. She's, you know, willing to learn. She works with Rob, our player development, all the time. So just really proud of her, like, you know, and the confidence she now has in herself and then everybody has in her. You know, she can go out there and make plays. She's probably the most athletic player I've ever played with and one of the most athletic players I've ever seen. And it's fun to kind of see that come to light, and everybody knows what she's capable of, and she's really just scratching the surface. So can't wait to see where it takes her.
And she did not back down. Timpson finished with 8 points and 9 rebounds, with 8 of those coming on the offensive glass. Think about that. Nearly every rebound came from chasing down missed shots and battling bigger, more experienced players. Those are the hustle plays that rarely make highlight reels but often decide games. Her performance moved her into 3rd place in Fever franchise history for offensive rebounds in a single game. 3rd all-time as a sophomore, making her first career start. That is not a small achievement. It is the mark of a player stepping into a tough situation and making an immediate impact.
Wait, 3rd most offensive rebounds.
And that's the real point. This isn't just about numbers on a stat sheet. Timpson was thrown into the toughest situation with almost no warning, no Aaliyah Boston to rely on, and instead of backing down, she embraced the physical, hard-working style of basketball that wins games. That performance said everything about her character. Now add it all up. Mitchell's 17-point first quarter was one record. Her 9-game streak with at least 3 made threes was another. Timpson's dominant night on the offensive glass made it 3 Fever records before Caitlin Clark had even entered the conversation. And what Clark did next was far more than another great stat line. She reached back nearly 30 years and broke a record that had stood through generations, one held by one of the greatest players to ever step onto a basketball court.
45 points. That's the most points by a Fever player in a game in franchise history. I know you're used to making history, but what does that one mean to you?
I mean, it's cool. I don't really care. And I know what I'm capable of, and I know what this team is capable of, and it's my job to help us win and be the best team in the WNBA, and I don't think we're there yet, so it's my responsibility to help us get there, so we'll keep working.
Well said. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thanks.
Clark's night wasn't just a career high. It reached back and matched a record that had been standing since before she was even born. Start with the obvious number. Clark poured in a career-high 45 points, breaking her own single-game scoring record for the Fever. She didn't take that record from another player. She broke the record she already owned and pushed it even higher. That's what makes it so impressive. Every time it looks like she's reached her limit, she finds another level and raises the bar again. But that wasn't the end of it. Hidden inside that scoring explosion was perhaps the most incredible record of the night. Clark became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 200 career three-pointers, doing it in just 74 games. Think about that. Some players spend most of their careers reaching 200 threes, but Clark did it in only 74 games. She also moved into 5th place on the Indiana Fever's all-time list for made three-pointers, making one unforgettable performance another milestone in franchise history.
Foot. Clark with her third steal of the first half. It's 4 on 3. Clark the hesitation. Clark on the drive. Harris. Clark. Oh, yes!
Now look at where those 45 points rank across the league this season. They are the second highest scoring performance of the year, behind only Marina Mabrey's 53-point explosion. Clark didn't just have a huge night by her own standards. She delivered one of the 2 biggest scoring performances in the WNBA this season. Even more impressive, she didn't force shots to get there. As the points piled up, she continued creating for her teammates, adding assists right alongside her scoring.
That's a great lane line drive.
Clark behind the backside, step and knocks down a 3.
Got a feeling, Pat. Just have a feeling.
On defensive fouls from here, a real opportunity for Indiana. Clark with 15 points here on the night. Oh, she's feeling it!
That's where the night becomes truly historic. Clark now has 4 career games with at least 30 points and 10 assists. Here's the incredible part, every other player in WNBA history combined has also recorded only 4 such games. Clark alone has matched the rest of the league. That's more than an impressive statistic. It's the kind of record that completely changes how you view what one player can accomplish in a single game.
We have had entire games in the WNBA without this much scoring. Clark answers! It's a good old-fashioned shootout here in Indy.
Again, the poise and composure experience of Heidemann.
Clark, a triple! Indiana trying to get Clark the ball, and they turn it over. Johnson with a steal. Johnson had it wrenched away. Clark knocked it off of Johnson. It's Fever basketball.
Then came the moment that had never happened before. In more than 30 years of WNBA history, no player had ever recorded a 40-point, 10-assist game until Clark did it against Seattle. Think about that. 3 decades of basketball, countless legends, and thousands of games, yet she became the first to reach that milestone. That's the kind of record that stands alone for a long time. She also extended her own streak of 20-point, 10-assist games, adding another milestone to her growing list of records. By the end of the night, the box score looked less like the summary of one game and more like a collection of historic achievements.
From here, Billings comes up with a steal. Oh, Clark, pretty crossover, and one!
Then came the record that reached furthest back into WNBA history. Clark finished with 67 points created, combining her own scoring with the points generated from her assists. That broke a record held by Diana Taurasi, who recorded 65 points created on August 10, 2006. The mark had stood for nearly 2 decades, surviving different eras and generations of elite players, until Clark finally surpassed it. Taurasi set that record before Clark had even begun her basketball journey, making the achievement even more remarkable. That gave Clark 9 individual records in a single game, bringing the night's total to 12.
So they're just 3 shy of it. Just past the midway point of the season, and that backcourt continues to show off.
Clark didn't do it alone because Kelsey Mitchell was outstanding from start to finish. Together, they added 2 more records to an already historic night. They combined for 75 points, the highest scoring duo in Indiana Fever franchise history. Both also scored at least 30 points, giving them the most 30-point games by a pair of teammates in WNBA history. While Clark was breaking records that stretched back to Diana Taurasi in decades of league history, Mitchell matched her with a brilliant performance, proving this was far from a one-player show. Every time Clark went to the bench, Indiana's momentum faded, and by the third quarter, everyone in the arena had noticed the same pattern.
By Seattle, they'd rather get back and load their defense.
And a heavy dose of Caitlin Clark here so far, and Mitchell finishes at the rim.
45
It started fast, and Indiana could not have asked for a better opening. Mitchell scored 17 points in the first quarter, helping the Fever build an early lead. But that cushion didn't last because the moment Clark went to the bench, Seattle began climbing back into the game. That became the story of the night. Indiana would pull ahead, Clark would rest, and the lead would quickly shrink. Seattle's plan was clear. Dominique Malina and Alafam combined for 44 points, proving why their size was such a concern before tip-off. They controlled the paint, drew fouls, grabbed defensive rebounds, and took advantage of Boston's absence. But Seattle's offense wasn't just about those two. Every starter scored in double figures, forcing Indiana's defense to stay locked in on every possession.
Is open. Oh, look at Johnson just pull down the rebound and the putback. What a big rebound by Flau'jae Johnson. Clark lost it for the moment. Here is Clark bouncing. Billings lays it in and one. Billings to the line with a chance to tie it.
The fourth quarter became a real battle. Both teams kept trading baskets, and neither could pull away. Every time Indiana scored, Seattle responded, keeping the entire arena on edge. Then the Fever's defense stepped up at the perfect time, holding Seattle to just 19 points in the final quarter after struggling for much of the game. That was when Indiana finally looked like the team many expected from the opening tip. Monique Billings came up with a huge momentum-shifting block, while Lexi Hull added 3 steals that turned Seattle possessions into easy points for the Fever. They may not have been the biggest highlight plays, but they were the ones that stopped Seattle's comeback.
It's Cunningham, Clark, Mitchell, Timpson, Billings for Indiana. Cunningham into Timpson. Indiana trying to get Clark the ball, and they turn it over. Johnson with a steal. Johnson had it wrenched away. Clark knocked it off of Johnson. It's Fever basketball.
What a defensive play.
Then came the final minute, the stretch that defined the entire game. Flau'jae Johnson attacked the basket looking to tie the score, but Clark met her at the rim with a clean block. Moments later, Clark brought the ball up the floor and drilled the go-ahead three-pointer, delivering the biggest shot of the night. In one sequence, she made a game-saving defensive play at one end and the game-winning shot at the other. That clutch stretch ended Seattle's comeback and sealed the victory for Indiana.
Johnson pokes it away.
Under 10.
Clark fires. And hits! Caitlin Clark doing it all!
That sequence summed up the entire night. Indiana built a lead, nearly let it slip away, and then the same player who was on a minutes restriction made the biggest defensive play before hitting the shot that sealed the win. Seattle had every chance to steal the game late, but Clark made sure it never happened. After the game, Clark kept coming back to one word: trust. Trusting her recovery, her body, and her legs after weeks of working back from a back injury. Now, the rhythm is back with no hesitation in her game. Head coach Stephanie White said the biggest takeaway was Indiana's defensive effort, not just the scoring that made the headlines. Clark's block on Johnson was no accident. It reflected the defensive growth in her game. Next up is a showdown with the Liberty, another big test for Indiana. The Fever head into it with growing confidence and Clark's MVP case getting stronger every week. This no longer looks like a rebuilding team. It looks like a team ready to compete. Comment CC Record Breaker to show your support for Caitlin, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more of the biggest stories and latest WNBA action. Click the video on your screen, and we'll see you in the next one.